The diplomatic quarters aboard the Valcor Ascendant were never meant to house a human. The ceiling soared 20 feet high, designed for the towering Kryn, apex predators whose empire stretched across 4 star systems. Yet here was Alara, all 5'3" of her, perched on a cushion meant for a warrior twice her size, surrounded by something far more dangerous than any diplomat. Predator cubs. 7 of them, to be precise. Their obsidian scales gleamed under the amber lighting, razor-sharp claws clicking against the polished floor as they tumbled over each other. The smallest Threx watched Alara with luminous golden eyes that tracked her every movement. "All right, settle down," Alara said softly, pulling an ancient datapad from her satchel. "Who wants a story?" The cubs froze. Their ear frills flattened in confusion, the universal Kryn expression of bewilderment. In their short lives, they'd been taught battle formations, hunting techniques, and the sacred rites of the warrior caste. Stories? That was a human peculiarity. Threx crept forward first, his curiosity overriding his instincts. The others followed. Alara smiled and began to read. The story was simple, a tale from old Earth about a rabbit who outwitted a fox. Her voice rose and fell with the narrative, painting pictures with words alone. The cubs listened, transfixed. They'd never heard anything like it. Kryn communication was direct, efficient, tactical. This was art. Threx inched closer until his scaled head rested against Alara's knee. She absently scratched behind his ear frill and his eyes half-closed in contentment. One by one, the other cubs drew nearer, forming a protective circle around the small human. And the rabbit said, Alara read, stifling a yawn, "You may be bigger, but I'm cleverer." Her eyelids grew heavy. The ship's night cycle had begun, and the warmth of 7 predator cubs pressed against her was surprisingly comforting. Her voice grew softer. "And so, the rabbit lived to—" The datapad slipped from her fingers. Alara's head tilted sideways, and within moments she was asleep. Threx lifted his head, chirping softly. His siblings stirred, but none moved away. Instead, they adjusted their positions, curling tighter around the sleeping human, their natural body heat keeping her warm. Threx nestled against her side, his tail wrapping protectively around her waist. To any Kryn observer, the sight would be incomprehensible. Cubs of their species were ferocious from birth, taught never to show vulnerability. Yet here they were, transformed into guardians of the fragile alien who'd shown them kindness. Commander Jalthor of the Elite Guard had served the Kryn Empire for 30 cycles. He'd fought in the border wars, survived the plague of Andros VI, and once killed a void serpent with his bare claws. Nothing surprised him anymore, until tonight. His patrol route took him past the diplomatic quarters, a routine check. The door stood slightly ajar, which was unusual but not alarming. He pushed it open, electromagnetic rifle at the ready. The scene before him defied every combat instinct he'd honed over 3 decades. The human diplomat lay sprawled across the floor cushions, mouth slightly open, completely defenseless. That alone was shocking. Prey species sleeping in predator territory. But surrounding her, forming a living barrier of scales and claws, were 7 of the royal brood's cubs. Threx's eyes snapped open first. The cub's lips curled back, revealing needle-sharp teeth. A warning growl rumbled in his throat. Not the playful sound of a youngling, but the genuine challenge of a protector. The other cubs stirred, taking defensive positions without fully waking. Their bodies created overlapping layers of protection, each positioned to intercept threats from different angles. It was instinctive, flawless pack tactics that cubs their age shouldn't possess yet. Jalthor slowly lowered his rifle. At ease. "Young ones," he rumbled in the subsonic frequencies only Kryn could hear. "I mean no harm." Threx didn't back down. His claws extended, digging into the floor cushion. The message was clear. "You'll have to go through us first." The commander's ear frills rose in astonishment. These cubs, barely old enough to hunt supervised, were willing to fight an elite guard warrior. For a human, he activated his comm link. "Commander Jalthor to Matriarch Corva, you need to see this." Within minutes, the diplomatic quarters filled with Kryn leadership. Matriarch Corva, mother to the cubs and supreme general of the fleet, stood beside Jalthor, staring at the impossible tableau. "She put them to sleep," Corva whispered, her massive frame trembling with an emotion humans might call wonder. "No, Matriarch. She put herself to sleep." The cubs chose to guard her. It was unheard of. Kryn cubs were aggressive, territorial, competitive. They competed for food, dominance, their mother's attention. They didn't nurture. Alara stirred, mumbling something in her sleep. Threx immediately adjusted his position, his tail tightening protectively. The movement was so careful, so gentle, that several of the observing warriors exchanged shocked glances. What was she doing before she slept? Corva asked. Jalthor retrieved the fallen datapad. Reading to them, apparently. Old Earth folklore. The matriarch's ear frills flattened. Confusion, yes, but also something else. Respect. We teach our young to conquer, she said quietly. Humans teach theirs to dream. She paused, watching her smallest cub, the runt she'd privately worried would never survive, guarding a sleeping alien with fierce devotion. Perhaps there's strength in that, too. Ilara woke to dawn cycle lighting and the tickle of scales against her cheek. She blinked, disoriented, then realized she was buried under a pile of predator cubs. Threx's head rested on her shoulder, his breathing deep and even. Oh no, she whispered. I fell asleep on the job. You did far more than your job, Diplomat Ilara. She jumped, startling the cubs awake. Matriarch Corva stood in the doorway, flanked by guards, her expression unreadable. I'm so sorry, Matriarch. I was just reading to them and You gave them something we never could, Corva interrupted. You showed them that strength isn't only in claws and conquest. My son Threx, the smallest and weakest of his brood, defended you against my elite guard last night. Ilara looked down at Threx, who chirped and nuzzled her hand. Humans are strange creatures, Corva continued. Weak, soft, short-lived. Yet wherever you go, you leave things changed. Better. The matriarch's ear frills rose, the Kryn equivalent of a smile. The cubs are yours to teach if you'll accept. Perhaps they'll learn that the universe needs more than warriors. Ilara scratched Threx behind his ear frill, and the cub's purr resonated through the chamber. I'd be honored, she said. In the annals of the Kryn Empire, this moment would be recorded as the beginning of the Great Shift, when humanity taught its fiercest predators that sometimes the strongest thing you can do is choose kindness. And it all started with a bedtime story.